assistance, about $4,000 for at least 10 of the recruits, and they can use that for technical training, community college, 4-year education, whatever they would like to use it for, but that is something that will be available to those if they want to come out and become a firefighter. That's really about all I got on the fire department. Okay, library, Jennifer.
All right, the library is doing really well. We've had no issues with safety. Our budget is still good. We're still on track. Our staffing is good. We did have an estimated 1,296 visitors for the month of July. So, I mean, that's pretty good. We do not have our July stats yet. We had some, we did have a death over at Harrison, and she was in charge of taking care of all that. So they're trying to get back into a new normal. So we do not have our July stats as of yet. We had a total of 131 kids signed up for summer reading. That was the 6-week summer reading program. So that was fun. We had a lot of good times. We have started our adult summer reading program, and every adult that checks out 3 books gets their name put in a drawing for a gift at the end of August. In the past, we have done gift cards for businesses around town. We've done leaders. We've done pastries on Main. So a lot of adults get into the fun of reading, like the kids do in June and July. So, and that will go straight through August 30th, since 31st is the Sunday. And we will draw in that following week, either that Monday or Tuesday, for those prizes. So, right now, I think we have like 25 people signed up. So if you like to read and want to get some prizes, come by the library.
Questions for Jennifer? So environmental services, the biggest issue I think everybody's aware of is the upgrades to the sewer treatment plant. And it's really rocking and rolling pretty good. We are in the process of working with ADEM to close a supplemental SRF loan for about $4.5 million to keep that going on. And of course, the council is aware that we had the special session that we had was we had a presentation from an investment banker giving us some financing alternatives and some revenue generation alternatives that we might want to consider for financing the remaining portion of the sewer treatment plant. Dale and Chris and I met with the contractor yesterday, and with the work that's going on we'll be starting on or about the 8th of September for storm drainage to replace the culvert on Depot Street. We're going to have to relocate some sewer lines, and so we were out meeting with the contractor yesterday, got his quote today, and it's in the competitive range, and so I think we're going to probably get started on that pretty quick until as soon as he can get his material and stuff ordered. The sewer relocation should not disrupt traffic on Depot Street, but I did want to let everybody know that if we start the culvert installation on or about the 8th of September, that Depot Street is going to be closed for up to 6 weeks, approximately 6 weeks while that work is going on. There's a detour planned. I've given that information to the school and to the Board of Education, and I'm going to put that on our city's website, Facebook page, so people can see it with school starting. You know, a lot of people do cut through Depot Street to get to the middle school, so it's going to disrupt that. So that's not necessarily part of the environmental services, but it's related indirectly. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. Community Affairs and Senior Services.
All right, so we had a great summer. I have numbers for all of our Sunset Music and Markets for the entire summer. So the 6th, there were 2,200 people downtown. The 13th, 1,900 people. The 20th, 1,800. The 11th of July, 1,700. And then the last one, the 18th of July, that was 1,600. So it kind of lost a few, but those are fantastic numbers for downtown Columbiana. And our dwell time, which is kind of important because that's how long people hang around, it kind of increased every time, so that's good stuff. So things went well. On the 15th of August, the community pep rally, and then the last music with Michael Warren will be that Friday night, and that will kind of wrap up summertime for us. The Senior Center served 1,400 meals in July, and this Friday we'll do the patio reveal for the building. There are a few little things that they kind of have to come back and finish with that project, but those should be wrapped up hopefully by the end of August. So, but it looks great. If you haven't been by the Senior Center and seen the patio, go by and see it. And it was a $50,000 grant from the community, help me.
United Way.
No, not United Way, that was a different one. This was the Community Resource
Okay.
Grant from Shelby County, and that's part of, we had to keep a few come through there, so, but that was that one. So, that's fantastic. There are 5 events at the Grand Hall in August, and then on September, that first weekend in September, the 5th through the 7th, the Birmingham Bicycle Club will be back in town to do their 100-mile race. They did that last year. It was a fantastic event, but they'll be there. Yeah. The only kind of issue that we're having is the white expedition that has belonged to every department in the city of Columbiana. It's about 25 years old. It is kaput. Just to start with the repairs, it's going to be like $6,500, and they can't guarantee that the transmission isn't also shot. And so I think we just need to call that one it's dead. I don't know if it's a 98 or a 2000.
It's
or
old.
Yeah, it's really old. So it's made it a long time. It's been through every single department. They use that vehicle to deliver Meals on Wheels, but right now they're using the black vehicle that was, so that's where we are.
Questions for Ally?
This $50,000 grant, community, resource grant, is that, given every year to?
It is, they'll open that grant, Shelby County will open those grants back up probably in October.
Who all is eligible for that? Is it just municipalities or is it
Well,
other
and
organizations?
nonprofits.
Nonprofits?
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Board reports. Do you have anything to report about the planning commission?
No, we meet next Thursday.
So I have something to report, and that is the fact that, as many of you know, Amy Dixon, who has been sort of a stalwart on the planning commission for a long time, has resigned, and we've had that vacancy to fill. And I'm going to fill it with Grady Carter. A lot of you know Grady. He's here tonight. I'll let him introduce himself in just a minute. He's an attorney in town. He grew up here in Columbiana, went to school here. I guess his work took him away for a while. He's back, and he has had conversations with myself. He even spoke to Stansel about wanting to get involved in the community. And I said, well, it just so happens we might have an opportunity for you. And he has graciously volunteered to do that. And what I would like to say is our city, and I think everybody knows this, depends tremendously on volunteers for all of our boards and commissions, other organizations, beautification board, all of these things, because we just couldn't do all the things that people expect from us without the help of these boards and commissions. So Grady, we appreciate your opportunity to get up and serve, and anything you'd like to say, appreciate it.
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity, Mayor, and thank you for kind words. And as you said, I grew up here, been away for a number of years, military work, number of things took me away. Moved back to Columbiana in March, my wife Pamela and I. And so I have been looking for opportunities to get plugged in. I didn't know they would come quite so quickly. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being a part and giving back to the community like everybody else around us.
Well, thank you. All righty. That's that for Grady. And so now what we have is resolution authorizing to sign an agreement with the Middle Alabama Area Agency on Aging. M4A, as it's called, is basically one of the, if not the primary funder for the senior center. And so, this is an agreement that we sign with them every year in order to receive the funding that goes to the senior center. So it's a memorandum of understanding, and they're going to providing nutrition services for the Columbiana Senior Center. So that's the meals served at the senior center as well as the Meals on Wheels. And that's pretty much it. So if there is someone who would like to introduce the resolution.
I'd like to introduce Resolution 082501. It's authorizing the mayor to sign MOA with Middle Alabama Area Agency on Aging.
I'll second.
Okay, that is a mouthful. Since there is some, no really expenditures from the city other than, we're going to accept the resources for them, but since it is a financial obligation, I would like to do a roll call.
Councilmember Lilly,
Yes.
Mizell,
Yes.
Weston,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes. Okay, so that resolution is passed. Other city business, anything that council would like to bring up?
What?
Go ahead.
I had a phone call about food trucks possibly being during the Music on Main and, or booze in front of businesses. Now, just curious, did we find anything out about that?
Well, I had someone mention the food truck issue. There have not been any food trucks on Main Street during Music on Main. We talked about at the last council meeting about the issue with the entertainment district and needing to do some stuff on that. What I understand the issue is the Sunset Market on Main is operates under the auspices of the Alabama Department of Agriculture and uses the farmers market rules. So that requires that the people who have their goods out there, they have to have one of two things. They have to have a grower's license from the Department of Agriculture, or they have to have a cottage industry license for selling things, foodstuffs. They may have, canned fruits and vegetables and things of that nature. You'll see people have soaps and things like that. And there's a requirement that some percentage of that also has to be homegrown. I'm not quite sure what that percentage is. It's my understanding that one of the booths out there was selling lemonade, and one of our merchants sells lemonade. The booth, as my understanding, was across the street in front of, I think, the Davis gift shop, if I'm not mistaken. But, the purpose of Music on Main is to bring traffic into the city of Columbiana to benefit the merchants. That's what we want to do. Allie mentioned the statistics that we have there. And foot traffic is really what we need. And the dwell time. We need people to have the opportunity when we bring them in, obviously, to go visit our merchants. So we have not, and the Sunset Market and Music on Main is a collaboration between Main Street Columbiana, the City of Columbiana, and the Shelby County Arts Center. The three collaborate on that. The city basically provides the street and the sidewalks and the stage and blocks it off. And then the rest of it is pretty much handled by Main Street and, to a certain degree, the Arts Center, to a lesser degree, the Arts Center. So, the only thing I know that we can do, they don't necessarily ask these folks what they're gonna be selling. They just have to, prove that they've got the grower's, permit or license, whatever it's called, from the Department of Agriculture, or the cottage industry license. And then they're not really assigned a location either, so that may be something that is an opportunity for improvement going forward, I think. So, that's what I know. Questions or comments on that, thoughts?
So we haven't had there hasn't been a food truck at all on Music
No
Online?
music on there, no. And we don't put them on the street,
That's not true. That's not true.
where was
There
that?
was, the very first night, there was one out.
Toys food truck was parked sideways where the cop car parks.
On Main Street?
On Main Street, right?
Blocking.
In
In
front
that-
of, right in front of
In
Leaders.
that, area.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, there was a couple of nights
And
that
the
there were
last,
food trucks.
the last night, the lemonade stand was a food trailer. Like, I watched them move the cop car, pull the food truck trailer in front of Chula's, and it was like a concession
It was
trailer.
in front of Chula's.
Absolutely.
Right in front.
That's the problem.
I didn't see it. What night was that?
That was the last Music on Main.
I was there.
I wasn't there that night.
I was. I didn't see the card. Maybe I just didn't notice it.
No, it was a
I'm not
concession
saying it
trailer.
wasn't there.
There were, yeah, actual trailers, so.
So that's problematic because, we shouldn't have food trucks obviously moving anywhere parked on the street. They're not supposed to be there. We know that. We just passed an ordinance. I don't recall seeing, what kind of food truck was it?
Coy's food truck that parks behind, sometimes he's over at the Provincial Pub. But he was parked sideways where the cop car typically parks when they block off the street for Music on Main.
I'll look into that.
It's multifold. It's, number one, they're in a public right of way that the
Yeah.
ordinance covered. Number two, they're well within 200 feet of any business on Main Street that sells food or beverage.
Yeah, shouldn't be.
And it's problematic from the ordinances passed, and it's problematic from fallout from businesses that provide those services in their brick and mortar, and they're there every day.
So what I'll do, what I think we need to do is, if it was there with a police car, there are ordinance enforcement agencies, so I have to have a conversation with them and try to understand what's going on there. But yeah, absolutely no food trucks being in the right of way. I don't recall seeing it. I didn't recall seeing the card either, and I was there that night, so. But
Well, and based on your statement, the people at the farmer's market just come and pick a spot, I don't think that, I think that would be total chaos. They're not assigned a spot by
No, they're not.
someone.
we get a lot of sort of latecomers, if you will, and so they haven't been being assigned a spot. But again, as I mentioned, I think that's an opportunity for improvement that we need to work on. And we need to find out exactly what kind of goods that they're, try to find out what kind of goods they're gonna sell. So, like I said, the whole purpose of this is to bring people to Main Street so that it benefits our businesses. And it's not intended to compete against the businesses. It's intended to draw people there and have the traffic for them. So clearly there's an opportunity for improvement there, especially on the enforcement of the food truck ordinance. Sasha, make sure to remind me to chat with you guys about that and understand, about why the food truck was parked. It was actually, I guess, on College Street at the end of Main Street there. Where the
Yeah,
way
it
was
would have been
blocked.
parking, and the reason I was so
Yeah, well, you can have
aware
a
of
bird's eye
it
view.
is because it is like blocking the view of our business. Almost like it was an intentional.
It was right in front of Leaders.
It was right in front of Leaders, parked sideways in the street.
And I'm sure they were open.
Leaders,
They were open.
in front of Leaders on Main Street.
On Main
and not
Street,
on
they were
College.
parked in Main Street.
It's right up under the red light, right up under the red light,
Under the red light,
In between Sweet Tweets and Leaders.
so it was under the red light.
between, Sweet Tweets
So
and
we
Leaders.
block pretty much this side of the red light.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Still shouldn't have been there, so. All right,
No, and it's been multiple occasions. It was the last one, at the lemonade stand. The first one was Coy's Kitchen. There was one in between there somewhere where they had a roasted corn truck. That is produce, but still they're vending food that they're selling in front of a business that sells food. And they were closer to the stage on that
I
particular.
don't know about the roasted corn, whether or not that would have been one of the
Well, it's a trailer.
farmer's market things or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trailer selling food.
Yeah, well, again, it is farmer's market, that's food, so, and that's why we're doing it, is to sell produce that's homegrown in Alabama, so. All right, so opportunities to take a look at that.
Obviously something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, well, I agree, 100%.
And this thing next week, is that the music on Main, is the band, are they gonna be on Main Street or over at the Arts Council?
On the 15th,
Yes.
It's on Main Street.
Main Street. Okay. So it would be the same thing, so we have opportunities to make sure on the 15th.
It's only the community fifth rally, there's no market.
There's no market, okay.
music.
Yeah, even if there were, there'd be no spot for them,
No,
because there's
Yeah,
so
we're
many
gonna
people
try
that
to fit-
come to that.
yeah.
All right, any other questions on that, comments? All right, this is busy. Been a lot of questions about registration and absentee ballots. The Shelby County Recorder has reported that last municipal elections we had only across the county, I don't have specifics by municipality, there was only a 20% turnout of voters for the municipal elections. We have, according to the list I got from the Secretary of State in Alabama, we have just under 2,800 registered voters in Columbiana. So if we had a 20% turnout, we would only have between 550 and 560 people turn out. So encourage people to register, and the only thing I'll say here is that to register in a municipal election, you have to be a resident in the city for 30 days. And the last day to register or to update, and I'll talk about that in just a second, your registration, is 14 days prior to the election. So that's August the 11th would be the last day to register. The easiest thing, and for anybody, is to do it online. Go to the alabamavotes.gov and you can register online. Some people can't do that, so you can go to the registrar's office at Shelby County and register there. You have to be registered to vote. You have to be registered in the county in which you reside to vote in a municipal election. So, for example, if you were registered to vote in the state of Alabama, in another county, you could not vote in Shelby County. You have to actually re-register. If you were already registered in Shelby County, and let's say you were in Pelham and you moved to Columbiana, you have to update your registration. Once again, you can do that online. You can go to the registrar's office. There is, if you were to show up to vote and you had a valid Shelby County registration, but it said, I'm registered in Pelham, but you say, hey, I've lived in Columbiana for 30 days, you can cast a provisional ballot. It's then your obligation, if you do that, you're going to have to prove to the registrar that you do in fact and have in fact lived in Columbiana for 30 days. So it would be just a provisional ballot, and they're not going to necessarily turn you away. Absentee ballots, basically, Charlene is our municipal voting official, and you can get your absentee ballot application and return it to City Hall either by mail or in person. And there's the address, obviously, for City Hall. If you return your absentee ballot by mail or your application by mail, it has to be received in the office no later than 7 days prior to the election. What day would that be? But if you turn it in by hand, it's 5 days prior, and it has to be the no later than the close of business 5 days prior, and so that would be the 21st of August.
Is that receipt or is that?
That's actually received, and that's the application. The actual ballot itself, there are 3 ways that you can return an absentee ballot. You can forward by the U.S. mail or by commercial courier. That would be somebody like FedEx or whatever. Or you can personally hand deliver your absentee ballot to the election manager here in City Hall, or deliver it by a designee in the case of an emergency. I'm not sure exactly how that works. So again, alabamavotes.gov will give you the details on that. So if an absentee ballot is returned by mail, it has to be received no later than noon on election day. And if it's hand delivered, it has to be in the office no later than 5 p.m. the day before election day. So that's kind of the way you deal with the absentee. Did I cover that pretty well? Okay. So a lot of stuff on there. I encourage everybody to go to, you can go to the Shelby County Registrar's website, and it's got the details in there for registering in Shelby County. But it kind of overlaps with some of the state requirements, so you can look at alabamavotes.gov and you can do it all there as well. So. Okay. Announcements.
All right, so this Thursday, school starts back. And then Thursday night, the Shelby County Chamber and the Shelby County Reporter will host the candidate forum for municipal candidates at the Grand Hall. That starts at 6:30. If we have several people in some apartment communities in our area who need transportation, so if you need transportation, you can call City Hall 205-669-5800, and you can get transportation to the forum and also on the 26th to vote. So that, because transportation should not be a barrier for voting. The 15th of August, the community pep rally and music with Michael Warren on Main Street. The pep rally will start at 6, and then Michael Warren will follow 7:15-ish. So that's it. It's gonna be, we're wrapping up summer.
Any questions for us? Okay. Any other comments?
Before you, I probably should wrap this up, so I know this former, you probably hear me speak what I'm about to talk about. Mr. Former, you sent us an email, about some traffic and all that stuff, and I want to say I apologize, I hadn't got in touch with you, my wife had surgery, so, it hit the wrong time, but I'm glad that you're here tonight. So anyway, I go home every day, every night through, I guess right there by the high school, do the regular and all that stuff, and we'll have Lieutenant Knight's here as well, because I know she's been involved with this too, but the traffic in that area, has really gotten unbearable. Especially at night, and I don't want to say it's because of pickleball, I don't think it's because of that, but just activity in that area has been just tremendously heavy. Really the last month and a half, almost to the point where I mentioned the other night, I was like, it's getting pretty dangerous. And it's really, I don't think it's, the only thing that really a citizen can do is really, when you see something like that, is call the police department, let them know that. Obviously, they can't be there 24/7. But I right there around that area, it's gotten to be a big issue, especially around the rec building parking lot, the softball parking lot right there. And with school starting this week, that's only going to escalate a little bit higher. I know Mr. Former's talked about in his email he sent, talked about loud mufflers, which there's a lot of those that as you go up, was it by the 500 Club, what's that turn there? Is that Pitts Drive? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of acceleration on that road, obviously with loud mufflers. Coach McCoy has mentioned that to me many a times late at night. So it's, it's one, it's a risk, two, it's a liability, and three, it's just really a nuisance. And I don't, I'm just saying this just for awareness, Lieutenant, as you're here, that, and I think, and Mr. Former's email, he said that they maybe talk to an officer and they maybe write citation, they write, so-and-so citation, he comes to court, pays a fine, he's back and do it again. So I think if those type of situations are happening, we need to get with the judge and say, if it's a repeat offender, that type of deal, then that, there was one time coming out of, the Redwood parking lot that I was driving down the street, and that guy just bolted out in front of that parking lot and made a 90-degree turn in front of me, and I mean, I'm like, wow. So it's not that I'm getting older and becoming more whatever, I feel like I'm so young at heart, but it's becoming dangerous, and just read the tea leaves just around the community, I think the loudness of trucks, and again, your kids and maybe some adults too, and so I think it needs to be objectively addressed simply because there's more traffic in that area right now, and it's all going to get escalated, especially on Friday night football.
I would say down Mildred too, because I was riding my bike down Mildred about a week, right before this. And both on Milner and whatever the road is right before Milner, teenagers came tearing out of there, not stopping at those intersections, nearly hit me at both roads.
Right, and just in areas, I think it's more secluded, because I think more is confined around this area is where you see it the most. But it's just something we need to get a grasp on before it becomes an issue.
So sadly, it's all over town.
Oh, yeah.
When I have my nightly cigar that Kathy lets me have, and I'm sitting on the porch, the loud mufflers and the speed running down in front of my house is the same problem. And we do, with our police force, they do park and watch certain areas at certain times. And so they will park up where Bentley Chainsaw used to be and sit there and watch for the traffic. And of course, it never happens when they're there. And they're gone and they're back again. So I think we have the issue all over town. The noise ordinance that we have is a nightmare to enforce. We actually looked at, the noise ordinance really only applies to music outdoors. From like boombox and things like that. It doesn't really affect vehicles. And we looked at the vehicle, as you may recall this, we looked at it a couple of years ago. And the way the state law and everything is, you gotta determine how many decibels it is and how far away and all that sort of stuff to be able to cite people for it. However, having said all that, I did still think you could stop them and talk to them and let them know that their vehicle is a nuisance. It may be difficult to actually cite them because of some of the criteria associated with being able to do that.
The difficult part is, like you mentioned, is that, even speaking to Lieutenant Knight, they may miss somebody by a couple minutes. They just flew through town and you're not there. So, they can't be there everywhere. Here's the thing that I do not want, and I think just police forces in general now are so much under so much subjectivity. And I read social media. People they go crazy about being pulled over left and right, and 90%, 75%, whatever that percentage is, maybe it's warranted, but social media maybe just escalated, But what I do not want to do is put them in another subjectivity of pulling people over just simply because they may, whatever. But I do think that's an issue around the high school and maybe even around town, these confined areas like Mildred Street, because it's an issue now, and it's going to be a problem when somebody gets hit or, and I'd rather head it off in the past to see, because if enforcement's the issue, we can work on that to where, hey, you do it one time, it should be the last,
The other thing I think we as a council need to think about, and we've talked about this before too, is we need to think about some speed bumps on Washington Street.
We've talked about that for a while.
And we're getting ready to, put the budget together, so now may be the time to see if we budget for that.
So you want to lead into this conversation, Mr. Moore? I know that you.
Well, I think one thing to look at is the city of Huntsville has enacted, which I mentioned in the email, a pretty a fairly new noise ordinance to address this very issue. And I was in Pell City today working, and there's tons of it over there. You mentioned Mildred Street. I know for the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of them that have raced down East College, turned left and raced down Main Street, turn right and race down Mildred. So right in front of City Hall. And 10 minutes before that, I had been out walking, and there was a couple walking their baby down the street in a place on Mildred where there's no sidewalks. They were in the street. When you're driving a vehicle that's elevated like that, that's tough to see people. So it's a very dangerous situation. And I'm older than you, Ricky, but the last ticket I got was for driving 90, so I'm not a get off your lawn kind of guy. I'm fine with people, driving, but it needs to be safely,
And it's not just cars, I mean, it's
No,
it's
not.
motorcycles,
Right.
going down 47.
Right.
And I know that, Lieutenant Knight, y'all been in high-speed chasing motorcycles before, it's just, you've got to be there at the right moment, right time to catch them, and unfortunately, that's just, we don't have a police force around to do that. So, I mean, like I said, I don't want to put our police officers in subjectivity any more than they should be. So, I mean, I'm a firm believer, if they're cutting donuts in the
Well,
regular
it's a
parking lot.
safety and a quality of life issue,
Yeah.
and there's no doubt about that.
Well, you were talking about visibility. A lot of these trucks with the loud motors, or the vehicles with these loud motors, are the squatted cars. And I've seen them, and I've had lots of people complain about that, because they have the loud motors, they're racing each other, and I can tell you exactly the 3 vehicles, and they're all over town. You can hear them from one side of town, you just can hear their circle. Well, my concern is if someone is walking in the street or a child is riding a bike with these squatted vehicles, they can't see someone. There's no way they can stop in time, there's no way they can swerve. The visibility and the noise, to me, there's gotta be something that we can do as the city to do some kind of ordinance for these squatted vehicles. Because to me, that seems to be the culprit a little bit more. And I've had lots of people tell me too that they're actually racing on Washington, 3 wide. They've been walking and have witnessed teenagers literally racing 3 wide down that street.
It's interesting you brought up the Huntsville noise ordinance. When we considered that a while back, I believe it was actually the Huntsville noise ordinance that we looked at.
I think they have one where the third violation gets you 30 days in jail.
Well, you mentioned also there too, what was it called, they called it Gary Law, was it?
Yeah, a creeper law.
Creeper law.
Yeah.
But is that state enacted, does the state have to adopt that?
I think South Carolina did, but then there's a lot of municipalities that have adopted it.
So a municipality can adopt something like that, not just the state?
For what?
For
For the lowriders?
was for a type of car, I'm gonna tell you, yeah.
Where they're
Modified
elevated
cars.
4 inches or more one way or the other, because of the safety and the stability issue.
No, we'll have to look and see what the state says about that.
I sent a fair number of resources to Ricky.
So, I think it's beneficial, especially on, even, I don't know if you can do it in Mildred, I don't know if it's convenient there, I don't know if it's by the high school, it's beneficial. I know we talked about, speed bumps right there, but, sort of what sidetracked that conversation was school buses. If it's, in my opinion, if it keeps somebody getting killed and slowing down, school bus can slow down just the same.
You mean as far as going over the speed bump?
Right.
I don't think speed bump's an issue for a school bus, but, again, unless it's a monster speed bump. And along with that, obviously goes with signage, so that, people know it's there. You don't want them to be surprised by it and damage the cars and stuff like that.
So I don't wanna put her on the spot, but Lieutenant Knight, if citizens see something going down like that, what do you recommend that they do?
Say something. I actually responded to a Facebook message over the weekend. We have been in contact with each one of these individuals. But of course, like an adult or anyone else, the greatest power is choice. And if you choose to continue to do what you've been doing, what they have been doing, as in continuously going through these neighborhoods and whatnot, they have been stopped and they've been issued numerous citations in which they have been before the judge. Now, it's out of our hands when it goes to the judge, because the judge makes the judgment on it. So the consequences are in his hands. With that being said, there's so much we can do. As in a perfect world, I wish we could tow their cars.
Sure.
But they got rights just like everybody else do, we cannot. We've had conversations with the guardians of these individuals as well. We spoke with them over the weekend, just responding to that Facebook message. But we're trying to do everything we can, even with the manpower, the limited manpower that we have. But know that we hear the public and we, of course, are trying to serve the city as secure environment, quality of life, and keep it safe. But as of right now, just call when we come.
And I think just with anything, you all know, like you said, you know the offenders. But you also can't police what you don't know, what you can't see unless you see it.
Correct, that's why you call and tell us what's going on so we can respond.
Okay. Alright, so, anything else, Mr.
Any
Moore?
other comments? Okay,
I have one.
yes, sir.
Under this, Napa is a big sponsor of my program at school. Joey Roberto owns it. I happened to stop by there the other day, and he asked me if I was gonna come to the meeting, and asked me if I would make a recommendation that they put a street sign on their sign, on the road. West Side Lane.
There's no one there?
He said he had a customer or something. He said they didn't, there's no street sign on there. The road is West Side Lane.
Okay. We have a couple of streets around town, more than one, that need new signs or don't have signs.
Is there supposed to be a stop sign at the end of at the end of Butler Street before Depot? Because right now there's not.
Supposed to be?
Yeah, I feel like there used to be, and I can't remember, we
I
were
think so.
discussing it the other day. Okay,
I think so.
there's not one right now.
Tell me what that is.
Probably.
Depot Street, right by the Masonic Lodge, the little cutoff to the right, that's Brick Butler.
The street I live on. So,
Across the street from the Masonic Lodge.
and it's a bus stop too, so it pretty much needs one, so.
Yeah, those crazy bus drivers might not stop.
So,
It's not ideal.
so it's needed at the Butler side going to the.
Yeah, but it's on the Butler side of it, yes.
Any other comments?
Do we know when Depot's gonna be closed down? Did you mention that date?
On or about the 8th of August. That's the estimated start dates based on receipt of materials.
You said y'all had talked to the school board about that, or the bus shop maybe?
I-
Okay, cause I was like, that is a huge bus route.
Yeah,
That's great.
I talked to,
With
I
bus
sent
stops there,
Dustin as well as Dr. Brooks the information. And so you might want to let your parents know. And
Well, they'll have to let the bus stop know too, cause there's, I'm positive of one bus stop, I think two bus stops
Yeah.
right there.
I'm assuming with the board knowing that the bus stop will be, the bus shop will be informed.
Yeah, that was,
And like I said, we're gonna put that out on the website so that people can see the route and where the detour is. The area that's actually gonna be blocked is actually a small area that you can't get through.
can't get through.
And so there'll be signage from the time you turn on Depot Street off of North Main saying, roads closed in 1,000 feet, 500 feet, et cetera, till you get there. And then, and the routing is just gonna be go around on College Street back to 25.
So where is it gonna be, in between Highway 25 and the post office?
Where's what?
The road gonna be,
Yes, it's after the post office, it's near the church, and that culvert there is being replaced.
I got something.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't know if this is the time for this, but I want to see about
asking about the paving of Eureka Acres Road.
So Eureka, is one that I'm trying to take a look at because, I talked to, Ms. Bowie about that, that and some other streets the other day, up there off of Egg and Butter. There are several roads, and this is the information that I've got. Back in the day, for whatever reason, and we're gonna have to do, Charlene, the research on this to see where we can find it. And this is concerning, and I don't know why it was done this way, but the city decided that it would accept certain roads, but said they would not maintain them. That's what I've been told by our Public Works Department. And we have quite a few of those. I don't understand why the city would say, hey, we're gonna take responsibility for this road and not maintain it, but they've done that. Egg and Butter itself is actually a county road, and so the county has responsibility for that. So there are 2 or 3 roads off of Egg and Butter that are city streets, if you will. That supposedly there was a council decision at some point in time where they said they're not gonna maintain them. And that was a long, long time ago, and it's gonna be difficult probably for us to find that, but we have to find the council resolutions about that. That doesn't mean we can't change that, okay? And so that those roads can be put on the repaving list going forward. You know, Nelson Walker was just recently repaved, but then up at Egg and Butter, that's a county road that hasn't been repaved, and so most of the roads out in that area haven't been repaved, and the story that I've been getting is the fact that the city had made a decision not to maintain those roads. Don't know why that is. And you'll also see that there are some signs out there too. You'll see green road signs and you'll see blue ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the blue ones are, and this is where I wasn't sure about Eureka, are county roads, and it means that the county doesn't maintain them either. So kind of a catch-22 there, that nobody seems to want to maintain those streets. So that's a concern, and that's something that I think we need to address both at the city level and the county level.
What was your name?
Melinda Mayfield,
Is Eureka off Egg and Butter Road?
off Looney Road.
Yeah, Looney is a city street.
Yeah.
That one we maintain Looney.
I wanna say about Bowie Road. I know when I called up here, they said they maintain Bowie Road, but they don't. I just last year and this year, I paid somebody to scrape the road, cause you can't tell where the road started in. And Bowie Road is really growing, and they got trailer parks over there, and they started building over there, but the road is narrow, and it's kind of dangerous when you go up there, because you can't see the other person, and then you gotta get off on the side of the road. It ain't necessarily need paint, it just need to be wide, because it's like little ditches, where you can mess up your car, at the bottom of your car.
Bowie, I hope I'm on the right road here, because I've been down it. I believe it's paved, right?
Yes,
But it's
so
very,
far.
very narrow.
Yes, narrow.
So the issues, again, this is all from way back, so this is what I understand. The issues were in order to pave it and to widen it, okay? And because the question that came up before was to widen it,
Mm-hmm.
we would need to acquire rights of way from the property owners. And there's a couple of places where there are some utility poles and some trees and things that would have to be relocated or removed in order to be able to do that. And the information that I was given in the past was that the property owners did not want to provide those right-of-ways for it to be widened. I don't know if that's one of those roads where a resolution again was passed that said, hey, we're not gonna maintain it. It's been paved in the past, at least part of it has. So, I think that's same thing, looking at Eureka and several of the other streets off of Egg and Butter and Looney Road to make sure that you know, kind of my philosophy is, I think if the city's gonna say, hey, this is a city street,
Yeah.
then it's a city street. And, but apparently, it wasn't done that way.
Could they just come and put like in the ditches part of it, like, like fix the road on the side, build it up or something?
On Bowie,
Yeah, cause in the,
Well,
where the
look at it.
ditches is at,
I'll be happy to look at it and see, and I'll get with our public works folks, and we'll see what we can do. Again, the issue is whether or not we have a right of way there, and for what I'm understanding right now, what's paved is just, that's it. And then the property owners would have to give us an easement or in the ability to be able to fix that. So, similar situation that we're having with the railroad out there on Industrial. Because that's their right of way out there. We've been trying to talk to them anyway.
What was your name?
Vita.
Speaking of that, Norfolk just got bought.
Norfolk Southern Railroad?
You know, they said that was the problem with Eureka Acres, that God rest her soul, my Aunt Pearl wouldn't give them right away. But she since passed, and her daughter was telling me, she was like, I'll give y'all right away, y'all get y'all
I heard
right
that
away.
too. I think I heard that too. She said she's ready to do that. So, okay. All right, anything else?
I got one more thing, if it's possible. Can y'all put more lighting towards the end of Bowie Road as well? I mean, they ain't on my property, like a little further, where the road kinda stops, because it's like really dark.
All right, that was brought up too a while back, and the pole that was there, again, was a pole that was on private property. As long as it's in a public right of way, yes, we can do that, and I'll be happy to ask Alabama Power to do that. And my understanding that the light pole that was there was put in on somebody's private property, and at one point in time, they were paying for that light, like I have one on my property like that, that I pay for. And, you know, that becomes problematic when it's on the private property and the ability to put a light out there.
I just cause at the end, in the corner, it just be, they come out there and they smoke or whatever, and they gather, and I just feel like, I just want a light, if it was a light out there, they wouldn't do that.
All right, I'll look at it again, and also, we'll get back in touch with you and find out, make sure you get the contact information if you can, so that, I wanna see specifically the property and make sure that it's, whether or not it's private property or on public right of way. But the light pole that was brought up in the past that someone had asked us about was on private property, and had in the past, the owner had been paying for the light, and then for whatever reason, they decided they didn't want to do that anymore, so. Okay, anything else? Okay, if nothing else, I'll entertain a motion